Hi, it's John Mitchell, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So I wanted to talk first about the major fire that we had on Acushnet Avenue on Tuesday night. It was awful. A big apartment building, some 32 units, was quickly engulfed in flames in the afternoon. Unfortunately, at this point, we can confirm one person passed away in the fire. We're also looking for another person right now as we speak. And it's an awful thing. This was a terrible tragedy, and I just wanted to express my sympathy to the family of the decedent, and as well as to all of the people who were displaced as a result of the fire. Their lives have been turned upside down. And I also want to say, I just want to express my gratitude for the really superb work that our fire department in particular did, as well as that of a number of our other agencies, EMS, which tended to the number of the folks who were trying to get out, as well as the emergency management, as well as a number of the nonprofits in the city who helped make sure that people had housing right away. And that includes Seven Hills Behavioral Health, it includes the Red Cross, it includes a number of others, the Homeless Service Providers Network. They all worked in concert to get people into housing or into hotels or some situation with shelter situation really within hours, and that was really terrific work. I also want to thank the fire departments of our towns around us for jumping in and manning the stations as our fire department was fully deployed on the site. It's unfortunately they'd rather not have to put any of these folks into action. But they did a superb job under very difficult circumstances. Switching gears, I wanted to say a word about the housing plan that we just announced. We announced a comprehensive housing plan that will seek to tackle one of the most vexing issues that we have right now. That's the escalating cost of housing. Whether you're a renter or a homeowner, you've seen what's happened to housing prices. And what we've tried to do, based on public input, the input of developers, housing policy experts, and many others, is to put together a plan with some 22 different measures, policies, and practices that will seek to stabilize the situation for everybody. We want to promote housing for everybody. We want to make sure that the housing supply continues to grow, because that's what's going to reduce prices in the long run. And we also want to make sure we're removing all the barriers to the development of new housing. Housing is built by the private sector, not by the public sector, and we want to make sure that the private sector wants to invest here in New Bedford, so that's really important. And then and to ensure that we're also dealing very effectively with our homeless population. These are things that we think that will be a series of plans in here, a series of steps that I think are going to make a big difference. So I just want to thank everybody for their work that's gone into it. This is a very, very detailed plan that has to be implemented not just by the city but the entire region. There is a big difference between the towns and the city in terms of the number of rental units, and it's obvious this is a sometimes dicey subject in the towns to talk about the building of multifamily housing, but the reality is that there is a region-wide housing market, and that the city can't bear the burden of all of the need that's out there. There has to be a region-wide conversation. So we look forward to having that conversation as well. And if we do these things, I think we're going to be in a much stronger position to deal with the housing needs of all of our residents. The last thing I just want to say is, and many of you probably have noticed this, there was one big boat out in the middle of the harbor that docked at the New Bedford Marine Commerce Terminal, and this was the a 400 plus foot long vessel that came in to the New Bedford Marine Commerce Terminal to unload this massive equipment that's used to place wind components on top of one another out at sea. They're called grippers. I guess that's what they do. They just grip the towers that are put into place, and so it's quite a sight. And it's the beginning of a whole lot of activity that people will see starting late spring, early summer, and continuing for over a year. There will be a whole lot of activity to behold. And so if you get a chance, when these boats come in, go down. I encourage people, go down, take a look, either over at East Beach or over at the fort, or even go over to the Gifford Street boat ramp, that area. You can be able to see a lot of action there, and it'll be really interesting to look at. So I hope you have a chance to do that soon. With all that, this has been the Mayor's Weekly Update. We'll see you next week.